A big thank you to MPB for sponsoring today's video.
Honestly, man, why do people do this? I don't. Right, let me just show you this now. Somebody please give me an explanation, right? What's going on? Why do people do it? Why do people let the dogs have a poo-poo, put the poo-poo in a plastic bag and then, you know, stuff the plastic bag in a lovely dry stone wall or chuck it into a bush? I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, surely it'd be better just to leave the poo on the floor of all things, which isn't great in itself. Now I'm going on about this poo-poo for a bit too long here. I'd like to think people are doing it, not because they're being lazy, but because they think they're still doing better by bringing it up off the floor. I don't know. Anyway, welcome back to the channel. Let's chat about the poo-poo. Fantastic to see you all today. We are in, beautiful Yorkshire. What an absolute treat. So hopefully going to head up to some limestone pavement. And I want to have a little bit of a chat about kind of a phase in my photography journey where I look back on it now and I really realised it was a big turning point. And yeah, it meant my photography was never ever going to be the same again. And that has proved true. Let's crack on into this wonderful landscape, and of course we'll see if we can get some photographs as well. So there, that view, that little video clip that I just did, I'll tell you what, I'll move my head out of the way, I'll show you the video clip again. This always happens, but you'd never really notice, like, because you never really see behind the scenes. I do a little video clip with my video camera, my Olympus, and I look at the scene and I think, yeah, that'll make a good sort of 5 seconds of B-roll, and I'll be looking through the Olympus camera like that, and I think, oh, there's a photograph there, that looks cool. And that is exactly what's just happened here. Well, simple. Well, when I'm editing my videos, I realise that I seem to say that about every shot. Yeah, it's really simple, but to be honest, I'm not lying. A lot of the times it's just about being in the right place, being in nice landscapes, and I'm fortunate enough that I can do that. But yeah, big mound up here on your right hand side. We've got a dry stone wall leading out, we've got a muddy path leading out, and then we've got some kind of adjacent dry stone walls coming up to the top of this peak as well, and then a little bit of the Yorkshire countryside as well. And you know what tops it all off? The darn sky, which I bang on about that as well. Absolutely wonderful. So a nice balanced feel to the photograph. There's no light, it's certainly not amazing, but just in aperture priority mode, as you can see there. I always like to show you in case you don't know what dials look like on cameras. What was that? I just chose F11 and let the camera do the rest. ISO 64, and I think it was about 1/60th of a second. It is actually quite dark, but yeah, not a bad first photograph. So I wanted to stop quickly to have a chat about this thing that changed my photography so much. And from that moment on, and I think I even sort of knew it at the time, I knew that going forward, my photography was going to be really different in the most positive way possible. And this kind of carries on from last week's video where I was looking back at some of my old photographs, and it made me realise this even more. And it's all to do with shutter speed. Once I realised us as landscape photographers, or just photographers in general, could be creative with our shutter speeds, I think that's when I really properly started realising two things. Firstly, that landscape photography was a hell of a lot of fun, and it's where I properly started falling in love with it. But I think just in general, it's where I started to learn and understand a lot more about, you know, things like why people use tripods, why people actually buy proper cameras, you know, and not just use the phones. And my learning curve was very steep when I started understanding this, you know. And it, you know, when I think back to when I lived in New Zealand, in Queenstown, and I was down at lake shores on the coast, photographing waterfalls. And I remember I bought my first neutral density filter, and it was a 6-dot filter. It was actually a Nissi filter as well, which is still the brand that I use now. And I was just messing around, you know, photographs were terrible, but I was playing around with things like light trails and doing astrophotography, photographing waves on the coast, things like that. And it was so much fun. And I think to this day, anything where I'm being creative with my shutter speed, you know, when there's movement in the frame, I guess, is my favourite type of landscape photography. And I think as well, I just thought of this now, I think when I started messing around with my shutter speed like that as well, it made me realise why I'd invested in a proper camera rather than a phone, you know, because I had control over that shutter speed. Now I know nowadays, and probably even back then, you can get phones where you can adjust the shutter speed, but that's kind of besides the point. I'd bought this Nikon D30-100, and up until then, the only difference that I'd noticed between the proper camera and my phone was the fact that it had a lens. So it was actually nothing to do with the camera at all. But yeah, if this is something you're just getting into now, you know, with your photography, messing around with shutter speed, perhaps you're just invested in some neutral density filters, I would say crack on, keep on going, because it is so much fun, like I said. And I do believe it will make you fall in love with landscape photography as well. I was just thinking then, ironically, I don't think I'll be doing any of that type of photography today, because we just haven't really got the right sort of conditions. But yeah, we'll get up to this limestone pavement now, and we'll see if we can be a little bit creative. Are you saying that correctly? What is going on? We have got Herdwick sheep in the Yorkshire Dales National Park, just over this dry stone wall here. Madness. For anyone that doesn't know, the Herdwicks are native to the Lake District National Park. I suppose no sheep in this country is truly native, are they? But that's where they live. That's where they belong. What's going on here? Madness. I've just never seen them outside of the Lake District, so that's weird. So we're nearly up at the limestone pavement now, and the conditions are nice. We've got the beautiful textured clouds that I'm after. We've got some nice distant subjects. We've got some nice peaks in the background and stuff. So hopefully we can make some at work up there. I did just want to say another huge thanks to today's video sponsor, which is MPB. MPB is a platform where you can buy or sell used photography or videography equipment. It's a platform that I've used for a number of years now. To be honest, the only reason I use them, and I have used them in the past and I continue to do so, it's just because it's cheap. Obviously it's cheaper to buy used gear anyway, but it's particularly cheap on MPB. And I'm not lying, because I know you can just go and have a look. But yeah, I'll leave a link in the description below. Definitely go and check them out. They've got a wonderful grading system, so you can get a really good idea of what condition something is in before you buy it, whether it's a lens or, you know, a microphone, whatever. And if you're looking to sell any of your used photography equipment, MPB all the way. Honestly, absolute class. They will send someone to your house. All you've got to do is box it up. They'll send someone to your house, they'll knock on the door, and they'll collect it from you. And you don't even have to pay for that courier. It's all free. So, like I've mentioned in the past when I talk about MPB, if you've got stuff lying around your office, around the gaff, photography equipment that is, not just random stuff in your kitchen, it's a no-brainer. You may as well get someone from MPB to buy it off you, come and pick it up, whatever, and use that money for more gear, replacement gear, or trips, you know, photography trips. So yeah, another massive thank you to them. Like I said, link in the video description below. Go and have a little look. Right, I shall meet you. There's more herdwicks up there, man. What's going on? I shall meet you up at the limestone pavement. Oh, so I'm pretty happy with the way this one looks on the back of the camera. There's a lot that I like about it, and it's pretty much what I'd visualised before I come here, you know. Limestone pavement in the foreground, a nice little bit of mid-ground, preferably a dry stone wall leading us out, which is what we've got, and then just some of the peaks. Right off in the background, we've got Ingleborough there, and then, like I said a second ago, the sky just lends itself so well to everything that we're photographing, you know. Ingleborough's looking so sinister, he's dark, the limestone pavement is pretty colourless, you know, it matches the sky quite well. It's that grey colour. And actually, that's something that I do like about this scene in general, is the colour, or lack of colour. You know, it's very, very soft and muted and quiet. We've even got, I don't know if you can make that out there, a little bit of heather. But I don't know, if someone could tell me this actually, I'd appreciate it. I think it's kind of past its peak, even though we're, like today's date, what is it, 28th of July? 28th of July. As far as I've always known, this stuff starts kicking off in like August, even September at times. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not quite in bloom yet. I don't know, I'm just getting the impression it's been and gone. But anyway, that does add a little bit of a splash of colour to the sort of middle of the frame, but not too much, you know, it's not overwhelming. I'm shooting this in a portrait orientation. I just feel like it suits the composition that I'm going for very well, you know. We're starting down here on the limestone pavement on these rocks, and then it's just a case of a straight line like that. So I felt like landscape was a bit unnecessary. We have got a little bit of this dry stone wall, like I said, in the mid-ground, and it feels nice, you know, it feels like everything within my little box within the frame belongs there. Which is really nice. I've stuck the camera back in manual, 1/30th of a second f11 and ISO 64, and I will mention as well, I have just focus stacked this as well because I want to really make sure that this limestone pavement down here is really sharp. So I was just looking over this vista here, looking back towards Pen y Ghent, which is one of the 3 peaks here in Yorkshire, and it's a beautiful subject right off there in the background. And as soon as I saw him when I got up to this section of pavement here, I immediately thought I must get him in the photograph, but I've not really been able to find a suitable composition really. And I was just thinking about this then, in terms of what this video is about, you know, like, I was going to say long exposures, but not necessarily, playing around with shutter speeds. If the sky was a little bit different here, if it was, say, for example, a blue sky with a few scattered clouds, I think this would be a really good opportunity to try and get creative with my shutter speed, you know, maybe stick the 10 or the 15 stop ND filter on, try and get a 2 or 3 minute long exposure whilst them clouds move across the top of Pen y Ghent. And yeah, really try and get something creative, but like I said earlier on in the video, I just don't think the conditions today are suited to that type of photography. You know, it's all about just getting the right shutter speed for exposure today, really. So I'm trying to get creative in another way, really. I suppose compositionally, I'm just sort of ignoring the wider vista because I just can't make anything work with it that feels decent enough. So I'm just trying to sort of hone in on and focus down on literally some of the limestone pavement here, and I found this really nice section where there's sort of 3 or 4 pieces of the limestone pavement, for want of a better word, that are kind of stretched across the composition in a parallel fashion. It feels quite tidy, I like it, and then in between them we've just got these nice reeds, these ferns, sorry, that are kind of breaking up the pavement itself, and it looks pretty cool on the back of the camera. I'm actually shooting this as a square crop. I've put the what's it called, the LCD screen here, you can't even see that. I'll show you in a different way. I've put that in the 1:1 format, which is something that I love on this Nikon Z7, is, you know, where you can actually see the crop on the camera that you've got in your head, so it's really helpful. And I love the way that it looks, very, very different from me. And again, probably quite similar to that last photograph. There's something about the colours that I really like here. The greys sort of juxtapositioned against them vibrant greens. Obviously we're in the middle of summer here. I do really like it. Settings are a bit funny. I'm shooting f9 ISO 400 so that I can get a shutter speed of 1/200th of a second, because these ferns down here are blowing in the wind ever so slightly. So that's a use of shutter speed in a very practical sense, let's say. It's got nothing to do with creativity. It's just to make sure that me ferns are not blurry in this photograph. So that's that. I am going to make this the last shot of the day, because I feel like I've done enough here on this limestone pavement, I suppose. And you know, this will do me. It's been a really, really nice adventure out. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope you like this last photograph. Thank you so much for your continued support. Please hit the thumbs up button. It really does help me out. And be sure to hit the subscribe button if you are new. And I'll see yous on the next adventure. Out.